Welcome back to our Toronto Global broadcast, bringing you the latest and hottest news and investment news across our Toronto region. I'm Stephen Lund, your host, and I'm the CEO of Toronto Global. Our job at Toronto Global is to bring international investment to our great region here in the Toronto area. I'm delighted to be joined today by Toronto Mayor John Tory and Tariq Mahmoud, the head of international at Reddit. Reddit is the latest tech company to join our exciting ecosystem here in Toronto. They recently announced the opening of the office in Toronto and already have 10 people on staff here. I'd like to congratulate Tariq and the entire team and wish them the best of luck in the Toronto region. The Canadian market represents the largest market for the organization outside of the US and the UK. I'd like to ask Mayor Tory. Mayor, can you tell us why Toronto is such a perfect fit for Reddit?
Well, first of all, I want to say to Tariq, thank you, because I haven't had a chance to thank him and to thank Reddit for choosing Toronto. It's helping us a lot in that as I was trying to woo Netflix, which I did successfully this week to establish its only Canadian office here. They've been doing production in other parts of the country, including here, and others, I'm able to drop the Reddit name. So I thank you, Tariq, for that. And of course, more so than that, I just thank you for the vote of confidence in the city and for having some of the best and the brightest come. And talking of best and brightest, I think the number one thing we have going for us is talent. We have a talent pool that is deep, it's diverse. Just as an example of that, because we have to keep replenishing that talent pool as we get more and more companies here. We graduate 25,000 students a year in STEM disciplines out of our post-secondary educations right here in the Toronto region. We have extraordinary post-secondary institutions that do that. And I think the talent pool, and that includes the best and brightest from all over the world. And that's the second reason why I think a company like Reddit would choose Toronto is that, we are able to attract through our immigration policies that can make it possible, literally, to get somebody that you want into this country from somewhere else in days, literally days. And that's something that will continue because Canada is very committed to open immigration because that's what built the country. I would say after that, it's the critical mass of industry that's here. I mean, people don't know, we're a top 10 financial center, global financial center, top 3 tech center, faster job growth in the tech area than Silicon Valley in the last couple of years. We're top 3 in North America in life sciences, and it goes on. And I think that's the kind of thing you need when you're a company like Reddit or anybody else. When you want to come here, you want other people to be here from all the different disciplines. And then finally, and I normally name this first, is quality of life. The quality of life here is second to none. There's a cost advantage that continues to be the case here, even though people who live here would say it's a more expensive city than it used to be. That's what happens when you grow. And so I'm just optimistic that, the growth that is taking place now because people like Reddit are coming here is going to, continue to attract others, and that this will be something that will be getting us back to where we were before the pandemic, which is with a great deal of growth, attraction of the best and the brightest. It really was a magnet, thanks to all those different things put together for bright people and people to invest and people to create the jobs and new economic activity here, together with our homegrown community, which is something to be very proud of as well. So I'm thankful. Maybe we'll find out from Tariq what the reason was Reddit came here. Whatever it is, I'm grateful. But I think those are the reasons why companies like Reddit are ending up coming here. And it's happened all through the pandemic.
Thank you, Mayor. Tariq, I know you've been to Toronto many times. I actually caught a podcast you were on recently with Ramsey Pryor talking about international expansion. I wonder if you can talk a little bit about why Toronto was so appealing to your organization.
Yeah, well, I think first off, Canada more generally is home to our third largest user base, right? US, UK, and Canada are right up there, and we're growing really, really quickly from a platform point of view at about 40% year over year. Canada is a huge user and business growth potential market for us. We're going to dedicate a lot of resources and build teams to support and service the Canadian marketplace, both on the consumer side and on the advertiser side. And I think specifically for Toronto, I think Mayor Tory alluded to a lot of the reasons already, but it's a super thriving business and economic hub. It's really easy to get to from a transportation point of view. It has some of the top and some of the best leading talent, especially tech talent markets in the world, really, not even just in North America, and really strong sales and product expertise as well. So it's sort of a no-brainer for us when it comes to figuring out our first Canadian office space in the country. And I think from a personal point of view, it has some of the best food I think in the world as well, which I'm a big foodie and a big cook myself, so I enjoy that quite a bit. In terms of types of roles and things we're looking to hire in Toronto specifically, our recruiting drive is, as I mentioned, nationally focused, countrywide focused, so looking at Canada overall. But within Toronto, we're looking for roles around sales, consumer product, marketing, engineering related roles, community relations related roles, HR, and so much more, in addition to obviously country manager roles and leadership roles for the wider ecosystem, wider Canadian audience. Our objectives for the team are really two parts. Number one, grow and delight Canadian audiences and consumers. And number two, service our business partners across the entire country out of Toronto. And so it was when we were talking about all the various different, both times in terms of market expansion, as well as locations, and then talking to all the different leaders on the ground, specifically in Toronto, it was sort of a closed book and a closed deal in our minds in terms of why we wanted to grow there.
Great, thanks so much. Mary, you mentioned quality of life. We're coming out of a pandemic. Toronto's an amazing city. What are you looking forward to most when we get through this pandemic?
Well, a lot of the things Tariq talked about. I mean, he talked about food, for example. Well, we've been denied. When I say that, I'm not being critical of anybody. For public health reasons, we've been denied the opportunity to, other than by takeout, experience. And it isn't, when you take it out, it's not quite the same. I mean, it's nice to be able to eat great food inside your own home, but the atmosphere of a lot of these restaurants, especially the ones that celebrate food from other lands, where, I think Tariq would probably agree that here, it's not unlike New York and some cities like that. You can get really authentic food from other countries, cooked as well as they would cook it at home, as it were. And all that's been closed, and it's part of the Toronto experience. And so I'm looking forward to that. And if you add to that, not just food, but you add to that the cultural attractions, the sports world. I mean, we've got all the major leagues play here, but they haven't really been able to play here in the same way because of the pandemic. So I think that quality of life is, the world of commerce is the world of commerce. And we have a great pool of talent, as I said, that we have more of them coming out of the educational institutions every year. We have all the critical mass of business I talked about, with new people joining the ranks every year. But that could be said of a number of cities. But I think when you look at a city like this that routinely, consistently scores in the top 10 of the highest qualities of urban life in the world. And, we're not by any means the biggest. And it's interesting that 3 or 4 Canadian cities fit into the top 10 every single year. So I think we've got something going for us here. It's not perfect. It's safe. We have an incredibly vibrant downtown where hundreds of thousands of people live downtown. So even when the downtown wasn't as busy, because of the pandemic, it was alive at least, and people were downtown. So I'm looking forward to that quality of life coming back, that kind of bustling in the streets, that kind of, when we often have visitors come here from cities around the world, they will say when they're walking the streets at 9:30 at night and a baseball game is just let out or the theater's just let out, what's going on? Well, what are all these people doing on the street? Because downtown, a lot of people aren't used to that. But here, because hundreds of thousands of people live downtown, and because the stadiums are downtown, the theaters are downtown, you've got an experience here that is just a pleasure in these months when people are wanting to be outside. And you add to that the food that Tariq talked about, and a general kind of very vibrant and diverse cultural offering, and you have something that is special. And that just hasn't been present for a long time. People have been cooped up, as has been the case in other cities, in their condos and in their homes. And so that's what I'm most looking forward to. And immigration starting again. It's not just a business thing. I mean, this city has been enriched. 51% of the people who live here were born outside of the country. And that has enriched us, not just in food, but in everything you could imagine. And so we're looking forward to that resuming too, because that's more or less been brought to a halt by the pandemic. So get back to life as normal. That's what we're looking forward to. Get those vaccinations in arms and get back to life as normal.
Thanks, Mayor. Tariq, I live downtown. I'm 2 minutes from the stadium. I'm on my bike. I understand you are a triathlete. So was I, but I look forward to getting back to enjoying this wonderful city. I know you've been here many times. Can you share one experience that sticks out in your mind about your travels to Toronto?
Yeah, that's a good question. We were just talking about right before this interview, Toronto is so unique because of how central it is to so many other things. I remember one specific work trip we went to. This has all happened within the same day, which is sort of crazy to think about the possibility there. especially relevant to how this isn't really possible in most other cities around the world, is we went to a Blue Jays game in the afternoon. We then went to a ping pong place at a local club in downtown Toronto. We then went to a really phenomenal restaurant that served sort of cross-continental food. We went to a Cirque du Soleil show later in the evening at night. And we did all those 4 things within the same day. And that was part of a one-night trip that we did from New York to Toronto, also really easy to get to from a transportation point of view. And I think that's amazing, right? We did that all in one day. Something we didn't mention that we didn't do in this trip was we took a trip out to different cottage areas of Toronto within anywhere from 45 minutes to 2 hours, depending on where you're at. Those kinds of memories and opportunities are the things that really stick in my mind, especially as we think about, Reddit overall and holistically, and the place it serves to the Canadian audiences, whether that's on the sports side with regards to Toronto Raptors or Blue Jays, whatever might be the case. We have really thriving communities. There's subreddits for Reddit that service a lot of those communities that really matter to people who live in Toronto. And so when I get to go to Toronto and see that happen in real time, I think is really, really valuable. But ultimately, I think the thing I'm looking forward to the most is meeting the people and meeting the team face to face once we're ready and safe and are able to do that in a healthy kind of way.
Great, appreciate it. Well, Mayor Tory, I'm going to close by saying thank you so much for joining us. Tariq, we look forward to hosting you in Toronto. We'll take you to a Jays game, a nice meal in our great city, and best of luck to all to your future success. We look forward to working with you. And to all of you, our audience, thank you, and stay tuned for more exciting news. Thank you all.
Thanks, Tariq, very much. Thanks to Reddit as well. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.